welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis. And to my left, Andy, back by popular demand. How you been, buddy?
Not bad, Larry. What's going on?
You know, Andy, there's tons of stuff going on. Let's get right into it. What's going on this Saturday night, Andy?
There's a lot of things going on, but the big one, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, a match that should have happened in 2010, but it's happening Saturday.
So it's going to happen Saturday, so they're saying it's the fight of the century. Okay, only because we're in the 2000th century, but in reality, fight of the century definitely was Ali Frazier.
This will most likely be fight of the decade. I would have to say that.
I would definitely agree with that. And it's interesting how it's not the heavyweights. You know, for so many years now in boxing, it's not the heavyweights who rule the world of social media and the people what they want to watch. Good example is we had the heavyweight champion of the world who had all the belts. Shockingly, there's one guy's got all the belts in one division, Mr. Klitschko, who the Garden wasn't sold out. I have not seen the numbers on HBO, but it's not like there was a buzz either here in New York or in the country.
Yeah, boxing isn't what it used to be. Like you look into the 80s and 90s, after the Tysons and Holyfields and Lennox Lewises started to fall out of the sport, it became more of a niche sport for people. Now you have Pacquiao and Mayweather, two welterweights, who are the most popular fighters in the world. That's where it is. The smaller fighters are generating buzz.
And you know, it's interesting, they're 147 pounds. You know, you look at them, Andy, you're like, I could take this guy.
Yeah, but then you look at their training videos, and you think, no, you can't.
You're right. You think you'll know they'll kick your ass. But I'm looking at you look at these guys. They're not these big muscular guys. They're cut. But you wouldn't think that these guys can beat you up.
You look at Floyd Mayweather, and while his style is a little more defensive, he still throws a hard punch. And you look at him. He's got the full on 6-pack. He's got biceps like this. I don't yet.
Well, we're not asking you to take your shirt off. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry. I have no plans on doing that anyway.
Even if I told you to?
Even if you told me to, this is not Baywatch.
Let's get into some of the numbers of the fight, and we're going to go to in a minute or so. I happen to have the opportunity to interview Bernard Hopkins, who has one fight left. He's going to fight one more time. He also has now started doing commentary for HBO. He is down in Vegas. Is it down or? It's not down, right?
Down in west.
To the left. If you look at the map. So he's in Vegas working for ESPN because you see him every day on the set at ESPN doing commentary. We're going to get to that video, my interview with him in a minute, but let's get to some of the numbers here. Okay, so most highly anticipated fight in recent memory, you just discussed that. Now here's something that you and I are going back with. The tickets for the weigh-in, okay, that's just to go see these guys get up on a scale, show the body like you just showed, you know, the six-pack and the biceps. We're going face value $10 each. Right?
Yeah, normally weigh-ins are free, but with this fight, the $10 that everybody pays to go to the weigh-in is going to go to charities of the boxer's choice.
And, you know, big deal. I mean, what is $10? You know, you're talking about, this is where you could have gotten so much more money out of people, because tell me what the number is on the secondary market.
The secondary market, the average ticket price, according to Forbes, is $180 for the weigh-ins.
Right, and you're acting like that's so much money, and I totally don't agree with you.
Compared to $10, though, $180 is a lot.
I got that, but at the end of the day, it's the number. Sometimes when you're in sales, you either give the number or the percentage of what it is. Like you'll give the number, the percentage before if it's 1,800% or whatever you said more. Oh, that's like a wow number. But $10, $200, you know, you're in Vegas. You're going there with a little cash in your pocket, whether you got money or not.
Yeah, you're going to make it rain.
Right. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, $200 to get in the weigh-in, you know, let's look at it. It's 2-3 hours of entertainment. There's probably 1,000 people there. And so I think that that's not such a high number. And then I look at, you know, they're trying to sell it for face value at $10. They easily could have got the $200 from people or more and the money to go to charity. So I think that's where they missed right here.
I actually
not that they missed much.
Not that they missed much. I had actually looked on some of these websites. I'd seen some of the more expensive tickets to wins going upwards of $400 and $500 a ticket.
All right, so let's go to the secondary market on the actual ticket to the fight. Now, your numbers that you gave me, you're saying the average ticket price is $10,100. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's taking the nosebleeds.
Yeah, the average ticket
in the front
price.
row. So do you know, and I'm not putting you on the spot, but do you know what the front seat ticket is face value?
I believe it was $7,500.
$7,500, and probably not for sale, correct? Like this whole thing.
Most of the tickets were actually taken by the two camps, and they were distributed out.
Right, because the interesting thing is I think we should have on the show maybe next week is A1 VIP ticket. Get John Anthony White on the show because that's what he does for a living. He can explain that whole thing for us. So now the tickets are going for.
Those tickets were now the tickets each level I think was like $1,700, $2,700, like $5,000, $7,500 for those, and then the average ticket price on the secondary was $10,001, as you said.
Wait, you lost me a little. What do you mean? So
the face value for the nosebleeds was $1,500 a ticket.
Was $1,500 a ticket, which now you would say is going for what? 10 grand?
About $2,700.
27. So
that's not too terrible.
Think about it. If your numbers are right, exactly. If you got the money and you want to get in ticket, because that's what that's called, and you want to end up saying you were there, even though it seats 19,000, how many people do you think in 10 years from now are going to say they were at that fight? Millions?
Yeah, well, most of the casinos are they're gonna have a pay to watch it in their casino in like a viewing room,
which is great. All the
bars.
But I'm just saying, it seems like all the great sporting events, when they only see 15, 20,000, millions of people say, "Oh, I was at that game. Or I was at that fight."
Well, that's what happens when you can buy the ticket off somebody after the fact.
Well, it's when you mean the stub, or you could just say no one knows you were there or not. You could just lie.
Yeah, of course.
So let's get to it. So my interview with Bernard Hopkins. We're going to get Mikey teed it up. Thanks, Mikey, behind the glass. Let's tee up the Bernard Hopkins interview, which I did with him about probably a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, right in Westbury, Long Island, at the boxing gym. Wow. Bernard Hopkins, welcome to Westbury PAL Boxing Gym.
Thank you for having me here.
We love having you here, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's go back to your roots in Philly. You're in jail by 17. I mean, what were you thinking at that point when you're in jail and you're 17 years old? Did you ever think you'd get to this point in your life?
Well, not early in my life of incarceration and also being in juvenile facilities. And so, my mindset wasn't nowhere near the success that I've received and worked hard for in the last 27 years.
Now, you lost your first fight. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people realize that. You lose your first fight, you took probably about a year off. What were you thinking about? Did you think like boxing, you were done after one loss and feeling, this is not for me?
Well, I had two choices after I lost my fight. In 1988 to a guy named Clinton Mitchell, who has passed on as of last 20-something years. It was a transition. It was a lot of pressure on me at that time of my life and the time of society. It was a crack cocaine, drug era that hit mostly, if not every city in America. And being in a situation of losing your first fight, got a lot of felonies, don't have a college degree of any sort. The odds were stacked against me to fail multiple times, but now fell really hard and fall hard. And so I went back to boxing after 15 months, or almost 2 years off, and I dedicated myself never to lose again. And from that on to the Roy Jones fight, from that on to Roy Jones, I've kept that promise to myself. And I had a choice though, I had multiple choices between, do I get involved in the area activities, the neighborhood, the same guys you grew up with. These guys to me at that time was looking like they was rich. They had things, they was driving the best things. And I just stuck to my guns of not being back in the penitentiary and being 0-1 and trying to sell somebody on that I'm gonna be champion again, or champion one day, and be a respectful fighter and a Hall of Famer. That was good talk, but then I had to put the time and the effort and sincere, motivation and determination to it, and that would happen. I really never looked back after that.
So, I just wanted to stop it there because the fascination here is, for everyone in life, I mean, everybody gets knocked down. Whether in boxing, you lose your job, you get fired, you quit, making wrong decisions in life. And look where he was. He was as down as he could be. And then he comes out of prison loses his first fight. He's coming out of prison thinking, I'm going to be able to kick some butt here. You know what I mean? And loses his first fight, Andy. And then you hear him saying, I went back. I had to go back mentally. I lost my first fight. It took him 15 months. Imagine for 15 months what's going through your head. I'm a loser. I'm not going to be able to do anything. And then he comes back, and we'll go back to the tape in a second with a vengeance, and wins 21 straight fights.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines, I forgot which Rocky movie it was, but...
Well, there's so many.
There were 6 of them, and they're making...
Only 6?
There were only 6, and apparently they're making one with Apollo Creed's grandson.
I was going to say Rocky's grandkid, but hey.
No, Rocky's going to train Apollo Creed's grandson. But that's neither here nor there. It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up. So, having taken that 15 months, that was him getting back up.
Is that what, like in one of the classic movies, Raging Bull?
Yeah.
Robert De Niro go, never knock me down, Ray. Never knock me down. It was great. So we're going to get back to a second. So to me, I just thought that was very interesting. And I did jump a little bit and let everybody know he went on a run, 21 straight wins. Let's go back, Mikey. Let's go back to my interview with Bernard Hopkins.
I won one of the biggest super fights of my life that sort of defined me from being just a champion, that is the undisputed middleweight champion, defeating Felix Trinidad, who was undefeated, who was about at least 10 years plus younger than myself. And from that year on, I've moved on into becoming a future Hall of Famer.
So, he talks about the Felix Trinidad fight, and he also said post 9/11. When we get back, you're going to hear his story about he was here for 9/11. A lot of people don't know that a guy of this level, this athlete, was here in New York City. And you will hear that as we get back to the tape, but the interview. But let's talk about where we are. So he goes into Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, and he's from Philly, to fight Felix Trinidad. I think his nickname was the Bull, the Baby Bull, something like that.
And he was an incredible fighter.
He was an incredible fighter. He's 21-0. He's the shit. He is the guy. And he's, what, do you like that because I cursed?
I do like that.
Yeah, and sure you do. And his father was his trainer, like the Mayweather thing, the father's son or uncle's son, but his father was his trainer. And Bernard Hopkins kicks the crap out of him for 12 rounds when everybody said it's going to be a great fight. A lot of people picking Trinidad. And on top of it, in that 12th round, Trinidad's dad, his corner, throws in the towel, and Bernard Hopkins is the champion.
And Michael Buffer, just saying, and still
do it for us. Let's see if you got it.
The unified middleweight champion of the world, Bernard Hopkins. Look, I'm
not that good.
Look, I'm not. Hey, look, I can't say let's get ready to rumble like him. I won't even try because that's just not. That's
yeah,
not
but you acted like you got something, and I said go with it. It was not that good.
Because I'm not Michael Buffer.
Then don't say you could do it.
I never said I could do it. You said do it. So
well, because you gave the body language like, oh, like what Michael Buffer said, and like you're ready to do it, so I gave you a shot. Maybe we'll cut that. We'll just cut that.
I think we should.
But we're live, so we can't cut it. So we're going to go back. He's going to talk about post 9/11. Interesting stuff. Again, like I said, that he was here for 9/11. Bernard Hopkins.
I was in New York City. I was staying at the St. Regis Hotel in Lower Manhattan. I just got finished running Central Park. One plane had already went through the tower as I'm taking off my wet jogging stuff. Another plane sliced through the second tower. By then, it was clear that as I take my wet clothes off, that this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a pilot somehow found his way to the building. And from there, my phone was just ringing. And that's when the story was told even further as days went on. And New York was basically coming in, coming out, was shut completely down. Bridges, planes grounded. And people just started now gathering up and I guess, they start holding each other. They start trying to figure out, what happened, and we know what happened, but they're trying to figure out what's next. And that's where I think the history attached to my biggest moment was connected to me from years and lifetime to come.
So, Andy, when he talks about how he beat Trinidad, that's how Mayweather fights. Mayweather says that what he does is find your strength and take it away from you. There are plenty of other boxers go the other way. He said, let me find your weakness and attack the weakness. So that's what Bernard said about beating Felix Trinidad. He stopped what he did best, and that's what Mayweather says.
Right, and that Pacquiao is a fighter who will come right at you. He's going to take the fight. He's going to try to take the fight to Floyd Mayweather, and Mayweather doing the counterpunch style that's going to be what gives him an advantage psychologically. Because, like we were talking about before the show, he's a master strategist in the ring, and he's going to do the opposite of what a lot of people would expect to do when somebody's coming at you, and that's his work for him. That's why he's 47-0.
Right, and then you listen to the interview. I got to tell you, when I did the interview, and again right now, I get chills. He was here for 9/11. He was running in Central Park. He said he comes back to his hotel, he's taking his clothes off, and the first plane hits. Man, it brings you back and makes you think about that day. And again, I don't think a lot of people realize that he was in town. Not saying Bernard Hopkins is the biggest name, but it's a pretty big name.
Yeah.
And that he was here in New York when it happened.
People always say, you'll always remember where you were when Kennedy was shot, when the Apollo 11 landed on the moon. 9/11 is one of those events, and knowing that Bernard Hopkins was here, that's one. Like you said, when you were doing that interview live, that it's just like an eerie feeling came across.
Absolutely, I had chills running down my back. It's interesting the three things you brought up. Two of them you weren't even alive.
No, I wasn't. But those are the you remember when.
Yeah, you remember when. So we're gonna go back to the interview he's going to talk about unifying the titles, and not that I want to jump ahead, but he broke the record, and he had, I think if I'm correct, 20 straight title defenses. Am I right, or are you not sure?
Pretty sure you're right.
Oh, great. Pretty sure I'm right. Let's get back to Bernard Hopkins talking about how he unified the titles. How about you talking about history? How about when you unified all the titles, first guy unified all those titles? How was that feeling? Again, talking history.
Well, it hadn't been done since the great marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Right.
And to be able to accomplish something that a great man that I've admired, his work ethics, how he kept himself together all the time in between fights, and was stone-faced mentality of just going and taking care of his business. That was great for me to be mentioned in his name even today, of being one of the greats in the middleweight and boxing history. And so, to me, that was a great accomplishment. And furthermore, 20 defenses, broke records and set records, the great Carlos Monzon, the great marvelous Marvin Hagler, and then do an extra 3 or 4 more defenses on top of that and come to 20. That was a big, big accomplishment amongst other accomplishments that I still had in the tank to achieve.
So it's cool that, he realizes, like everyone does, he's the oldest champion in boxing history. And then what I like, again, is, Andy, you should know this is a sports business show. Then we start talking about him with Golden Boy Productions. I mean, he's with Oscar De La Hoya. Well, Oscar De La Hoya, with Richard Schaefer, who we got rid of, who's not the CEO anymore, he got rid of him. But in the first, say 10 years, the two of them together have really built Golden Boy Promotions up there with the Bob Arum, with top rank, and with Don King not even in the picture anymore finally, which is good because nobody liked the guy anyhow, even though he made a lot of money, but for himself. It's interesting now that you can look at a Bernard Hopkins and say, he's going to be a very strong business guy.
Yeah, because he's been in the business. He knows the ins and outs because he's fought for almost 30 years. And he knows that he needs to get the next big superstar. Because MMA is as popular as it is, so boxing is kind of taking a back seat. So if he can get that next big superstar to put boxing back up on top, to look good for him. Plus, boxing is an international thing, like Don King. It's not only in America anymore.
And the interesting thing is, it is all about talent. you got to find the talent, and that's what his job is, to find some talent. Let's get back to the interview. The interview is going to end. We'll go back. We'll finish it up with myself and Bernard Hopkins right after this. You know, let's talk about your business career now. I want to talk about that you're involved. You're the president of the East Coast of Oscar de la Hoya Golden Boy Promotions. I love that. Let's talk about, hopefully one day, I know you're 50, your post-fight career.
Well, first of all, Oscar de la Hoya, the Golden Boy Promotion, has been in existence for almost 10 years, going on 11. And also, you know, it is one company, it is Golden Boy Promotion. I just happen to live on the East Coast, and I happen to look for the talent that's over on the East Coast, whether it's here in New York City or whether it's in DC, Philadelphia, Maryland, it doesn't matter, or even the West Coast. This is a great opportunity, not only for me, and even for other fighters and athletes that's coming up behind me. Because you know what? Boxing is what we do, but it don't necessarily have to be who we are. And when you separate those things and learn to do more than one thing, I think it, not only in boxing, not having one style, it's like one day you're gonna need that education. One day you're gonna need that other style to be able to combat your opponent's attack. So working with Golden Boy is great. Working with Golden Boy is great, but it's learning and it's also helping other young talent like myself blossom.
You know, I got to tell you, I really like Bernard Hopkins. You know, he was fun, smart.
You see, like he was a fun time to interview him.
Yeah, listen, everybody's fun. Everybody's cool. You know, you got to ask them any stupid questions or crazy questions or tough questions about some stuff in their personal lives. It's not worth it. But look at him. We did ask him about being incarcerated for 7 years and all that stuff he did. And he was cool with that because look where he is now.
Yeah.
So let's get down to it, Andy. You know, the fight's on Saturday. Okay, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What's your prediction? And
Well,
don't say like Clubber Lang. Pain. Don't say that.
I was not going to do that. But if I was in Vegas, this money right here would be going on Mayweather.
What, this money right here?
Yes, that money.
That money?
I'm going to make it rain.
Mayweather? I got to tell you, me too. I'm a money man fan, except I don't like what he does with women. I'm totally against that. That is unacceptable. And for him to go to jail and act like, you know, he didn't really do it even though he went to jail, sorry. But in the ring, in that square circle, I think it's the money team. I think it's Mayweather. I really don't have a problem with him flaunting the money. Listen, he made it. He doesn't stick it in people's face. He's a spender. He's helping the economy. What's wrong with that?
No, he's going to make a ton of it on Saturday.
He's going to make a ton of it. Okay, with only a couple minutes left in the show, we got to talk New York Rangers, baby. You know,
game one, Thursday.
Game one, starting, right. So what do you like with the Rangers there against the Capitals? To me, like last year, you got to stop Ovechkin, otherwise Rangers are going to lose.
This is the 5th time in 7 years that they've faced each other in the playoffs. So I've kind of figured it's one of the 3 inevitabilities in life. Death, taxes, and the Rangers playing the Capitals in the playoffs. But I agree with you. Stopping Ovechkin's huge. They get Kevin Kline back on defense, which is a big upgrade for them. But Matt Zuccarello won't be playing in this round after taking a concussion from Ryan McDonough's slap shot the other night.
Well, you know, what do? You know, you do like in basketball, they call it like a box on one. And do you have like one guy just trail Ovechkin?
Yeah, his name is Ryan McDonough.
So you have Ryan McDonough who knocked out Zuccarelli and hopefully can knock out Ovechkin?
Yeah, no, I don't wish injury on a player. That's wrong. But having McDonough and Girardi, the number 1 defense pairing for the team, go up against the line of Ovechkin, Backstrom, and Kuznetsov, that's what you're going to see Coach Vigneault doing pretty much the entire series.
You know something, let's not forget, Monday night is the Pink Tie event. Go on pinktie.org. Check it out. Buy your tickets. It's always a great event. Rich and Mike Cave do a very good job. Next Thursday night, I will be hosting an event at the Hotel Allegria in Long Beach for the Nassau Detectives Association. So go online and come to that. Cigars, casino, all kinds of good fun. Casino Kings will be running that event. For my boy Andy, I'm Larry Davis, Sports Biz with LD.